20,738 extends MLS's longest active sellout streak. With that said, we'll pass it over to Coach Josh Wolff for an opening statement.
Yeah, and they certainly were helpful. I think that's you start with certain the atmosphere that we have here coming back to Q2. Last week wasn't the result. They were boisterous last weekend as well. And I think we built off that performance. I think there were a lot of good things in that first performance. You lose a game, it's easy to get down, but we have a process. We evaluate, we review, we refine, we come back to work, and we get better. And I think today was another good example of that. And the guys performed at an extremely high level. The game got a little stretched at times. It typically does this time of year, certainly late in the game as well. But some really standout performances. Alex Ring was fantastic. He was a man out there and dealing with center forwards. The performance was exactly what you expect from someone that's been in this league as a leader on and off the field in his way. And, jumping in as a center back, not his natural position, but absorbing the responsibility, and him and Leo were fantastic. So there were many other good performances. Leo was sensational. Maxi, the subs, came in and gave us a big lift. And the disappointing part is we didn't get enough goals. But we got enough to win. The shutout is good for our guys. It's good for our mentality. That's a big goal for our group this year. And we got our first 3 points, and we're in the midst of a busy schedule. So we got to freshen up, get ready for a game down in the Dominican, and then know we're on the road for a couple games going forward.
Go ahead, Phil.
All right, congrats on the win, first
Thank
of all. You'd hinted that Alex might be playing center back. What did you see just kind of leading up to that in the week of practice that made you think he could do it?
Well, he did it for us in year one when we were down to one center back as well, and he did it when he's in New York City as well. So we've talked about it before. He's put that. I've mentioned it sometimes. He's a little hesitant to want to do it, but I think he understands the role right now. He understands what's needed in this team, and he puts the team first. And his performance was quite strong throughout the week. It's just linking up a little bit of the relationship with him and Leo, a little bit of our structure, our build-up structures to keep the connections good. But with the ball, him, Leo, Pepe, Owen, Z, these are extremely competent, quality players. So when we have that back line, Julio is the same way. When we have that, we're tough to get the ball from. And that's the starting point for us. Created a boatload of chances, and some of those Alex was involved with, but some room for improvement there.
Yeah, and then just a little bit of frustration in the first half. Looks like Danny maybe had a goal, got called back for a foul. Looks like Zardes had a goal. So just kind of thoughts there on why it took kind of so long to percolate before that goal finally came?
Yeah, we're knocking on the door. He had two really, really good looks. I thought he played extremely well for 60 minutes. He lost his legs there, but his energy, his intensity, the arrival in the box, those are goals I've seen him take every single day. So from that standpoint, he was fantastic. Pepe, it's a foul. I like that he's competing. Him and Owen won so many balls. The amount of balls those guys won or caused in transition for us in the first half was insanely good, and we need to turn those into goals. And from that standpoint, I'm quite pleased with that press, how we build our pressure. They got in some gaps and caused us some problems along the way as well, but you got to get the goals. The goals do change games, and it took us a little longer than we would like, but the subs came in, gave us energy and quality and goals.
Eric? Josh, you touched on it, but given shorthanded at center back to get the clean sheet tonight, how significant is that?
It speaks volumes for the group. Again, I think Brad also deserves credit. We talk about his bravery inside the box, coming out to clean up balls. Last week, I mentioned take that guy's head off. Don't even wait. Don't even bat an eye. Come out for that. That's your space. Come kill it. Kip's a little late on that one. So I thought at the end of the game what he was doing, coming and grabbing balls to nullify any kind of second actions or crosses. But the back line did a great job. I asked Diego to do something different tonight based on what Montreal was. So he suffered a bit and probably didn't have as much impact. But I asked him to do it. He did it. I want him out there, and that's why, because he's got high quality. He's for the team. And getting a shutout for our group is extremely important, and it's much deserved. And I think we hope we can get many more of those going forward.
Katie,
talk to me a little bit about the differences between the combinations in the attack. So the Driussi, Rigoni, Zardes combination versus the Driussi, Urruti, and Finlay combination.
Yeah.
What do
Is there anything
each
specific?
combination bring that's different? Because I asked because Urruti came in, Finlay came in, and it felt like a very similar style of play that we saw last season that was really effective. I guess I would just like to know your opinion on that.
I think we have different ways to attack people. A big part of our offseason was talking about how we can have a little bit more flexibility and variety in how we attack. And I mentioned last week we didn't utilize our striker as much as we could have. It was there to be done. I think we utilized him a good bit tonight. We were looking underneath. We were looking behind a lot as well, which I really liked. Maxey comes in. He's fresh legs. I think that's also part of it. When it's late in the game, there is a little more space. So those guys came in understanding what the game needed and provided that. So I think they all have a really good understanding of what we ask positionally. There is the ability to have some interchanging and some rotations. We always say, if you're in that role, assume the role that you're in. Till the play is dead, till we score a goal, or we got to go defend our own goal. So that's a responsible group. But I think they all had their own moments tonight. There were a lot of good moments, I thought.
Zardes had some great opportunities, did great.
Yeah.
What do you think needs to happen to really tap into his full potential? And I guess also the same with Rigoni.
Yeah, I think Giassi had a couple looks tonight. I have more issues if we're not creating chances, if they're not getting on the end of things. But the amount of work these guys do for us, what they do with and without the ball is quite impactful. Emmy fell, in 2 or 3 really, really good looks again tonight. It's just a matter of taking his chance and moving on. But Giassi scored some 100, I don't know how many goals he scored, a lot. Emmy scored a decent amount of goals in his career as well. They have goals in them. They're going to score goals. We score a lot of goals. We create a lot of chances. The goals will come. We have competition, so that's also good. They know they need to score. They know they need to perform. Ethan's coming in. Maxey's coming in. Will's coming in. Johan's coming in. Owen and Pepe. So there's competition all over the field, and that's a healthy thing. And it becomes even more fruitful when you start to see the rewards of those guys coming in.
Coach, first of all, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
the victory. So on Tuesday, you kick off CONCACAF Champions League. For those of us that maybe not as
Sure.
familiar, what's the big difference that fans will see versus what they see with MLS? And give me a scouting report on Violette.
We'll dive more into Violette tomorrow. I have a little bit of an idea who they are. The biggest, the most significant difference is it's a competition. It's, it's 2 legs at this point. So we go there first. We come back here for the second leg, and the team that scores the most goals goes through the next round. I think there is Seattle, who just won this competition. It's been a very difficult competition for MLS teams to win. It's in our region. Mexican teams typically do dominate, do win this championship from our region. But it's similar to other competitions that we have with Leagues Cup that's coming this year, with Open Cup. So just a different competition in that sense. But we have a little bit of time to prepare for it. We'll have to rotate the squad a good bit. We're going down there. It is turf. It will be warm. And then, it's a 4 or 5 hour flight. So we got to be mindful of where our guys are at coming out of this game and put the best team out there to get the result that we need on the road, knowing that we come back in a week here, but also keeping in mind we got a big game next weekend in Salt Lake.
And talk about tonight, especially in those last 20 minutes plus stoppage time, it seemed like there were at least a dozen almost goals. And the tension was building and building and building and building until finally Rudy punches it in. Is that something that the team feels, they see it on the sideline and they're thinking, okay, it's got to happen. It's going to happen one shot or another.
Yeah. Well, I hope none of the players are looking at the sideline. I just hope they're playing, they're competing. They were doing a great job. As you said, you could feel the tension in the air. You could feel how lopsided that field was for most of the second half. I think we lost our way a little bit. We were going for too much, too big, too early. But we slowed it down, then we got fresh legs in there. And like you said, we were knocking on the door. We were knocking on the door all night, to be honest. And it was a swarm of pressure, and it was good to see it finally break. I thought Johnny did fantastic to get on the end of it. Maxey, again, arriving in a great spot. But it was a relentless effort by all the guys. And the starters did a good job to hang in there and grind for 90 minutes, and the guys that came in gave us a real impulse and certainly changed the result for us.
Zach?
You just mentioned John.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was everywhere tonight.
I told you he'll play every position for us. He said center back, but at some point maybe.
I mean, was this one of the best games you've seen him play from that regard? It just seems like he was everywhere, all out, all game that he was out there.
Yeah, he was solid. He had a lot of solid games last year as well, but he wants to play, he wants to compete, he wants what's needed in this game, the information, just the necessary things that he's got to be aware of. I think we're getting him in positions where he's comfortable, higher up the field, his running behind the line, his high-speed running, his verticality, his defending. He's a good dueler. He's very combative. I don't think he was originally, but last year he put a lot into that. We emphasized that a great deal with him. And then I switch him sides, knowing that he will give us freshness, and I can get Nicky on that side as well to give us some freshness. But putting him on the left side a little bit where he's going to sag down to be a little bit of a left wing back of sorts. But I thought he did a great job. He came in and worked extremely hard. I'm happy for him. He didn't start the first game, came in, changed the rhythm of the game there for us then as well, and did a great job again tonight.
And then obviously Alex playing out of position tonight, and then you mentioned Diego and whatever. How unselfish is this team where they like listen to you and say, all right, this might not be what you're used to, but this is what I want you to do? And does that speak to kind of you and the locker room and the whole team?
I hope it speaks to the team, the whole organization. I mean, all we want to do is provide the very best for our players, and in turn, we want them to help buy in and believe in what we're doing as coaches and as an organization. But validation comes through the winning for players, fans, media, and supporters. As a coach, we have process that we keep looking at and thinking about, but there's been plenty of validation in year 2. They know they're a good group. We've layered in some evolving for our benefit, knowing what's coming in this year, and they've taken that on. And players like Diego that I asked to do something, he did it. Johnny, at times I ask him to do it as well. But there's a lot of players that Alex, again, it's a great example. You want to be on the field, you want to compete. It is not hard. It's to come play in Q2 in front of our fans, our supporters in this city. It's an incredibly blessed opportunity, and these guys know that. But they did a good job tonight.
Let's do 2 more so you guys have time to grab a few players. In that order.
Coach, congratulations
Thank
on the
you.
win. Your defense was able to break their press, and then they faced some really heavy pressure throughout the game. Can you talk about your defensive unit ability to really just perform under pressure?
Well, I think they hung in there. There were some tight clearances as well, some recoveries that we got behind it. They had a couple little rotations that gave us trouble. They would bring a guy off the line, attract up one of our side center backs, play behind it, so that got us a couple times. They also had some variety in the way that they attacked, but I thought our recovery to get in front of goal, our recovery to get back down, to get into goal-scoring areas was extremely good. Brad made a save or two that was probably good, but more of some of the defensive efforts I think that you're talking about. Leo cut out a ball. Alex cut out a couple balls. Johnny, Z, Nicky, the whole back line. And Diego, as he settled into understanding what was being asked over there, he did a good job. So collective effort all around. Owen and Pepe probably don't get enough credit as well, but their box to box, the distance that those two guys covered tonight, the amount of balls they won or disrupted the opposition was insane. And they're also responsible for getting back into what we call the red zone in front of goal to help that back line defend. So massive collective effort.
Take us home, Jorge.
Hi, Josh. Last week you mentioned on the conference that Ring play as a center back before. Today, we agreed he did a fantastic job. Now, is this a position that he can win as Gallagher did on his time? This is a position that he can win and he stay there. The duel today was perfect, I think. Or it's just saving the place for whoever is on, the natural position.
Yeah, I think he knows what his role is right now. He came in and was the starter, and Julio's out. He's going to be out for an extended period of time. Alex started a boatload of games in MLS. He's played abroad. He's a warrior, as I've said. He's a machine, and he's a grinder. It's what you see. What he was today is exactly what he's been about his whole probably his whole career. So he's going to be competing with everybody else. We've talked about depth at every position. You guys have mentioned that. He's in there fighting and competing for center mid, center back. So. What the future holds, I don't know. Right now, he's a center back. He did a heck of a job, and he'll need to freshen up. He's got more games coming.
And the last one, are you traveling with the full team to Republican Dominican?
You want me to try?
Just a question.
We've known each other a long time, Jorge. We've known each other long, and I know you know people, so you'll find out anyway. You do a good job. You do a good job finding stuff out. No, I'll give you that. We're not traveling with a full 26 guys.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Thanks, everyone.